On this program, we interviewed Tennessee citizens Lloyd and Dana Long. The Longs were prosecuted by the IRS for alleged willful failure to file income tax returns. Despite the fact that the Longs did indeed fail to file income tax returns for the years in question, a Tennessee jury found them not guilty.
During your trial, it was stated that some 20 million Americans are asking themselves the same questions that you put to yourselves. In light of your experience, what is the first thing that you would tell people?
Well, basically that they need to understand that you don't get in this fight if you think you're going to win in a week. It's going to take some time. There's a lot of misinformation. There's just a lot of information and beliefs that people have that have got to be educated out. People have got to be shown the truth and taught the truth before this thing's going to change.
Dana?
And as his wife, I had to learn a great deal of patience because I just didn't know whether I was ready to be involved in this battle. And I didn't understand why he had to study so much. And he's been studying for at least 10 years, learning, trying to find the truth. And I've had to learn to be very patient and try to gain understanding through it all.
Immediately after the jury rendered its verdict, describe your situation.
I felt very blessed and very excited, and I just wanted to hug everybody in the courtroom. In fact, I did hug the district attorney and the IRS agent, and they looked at me rather funny.
Weird.
But I told them I knew they were just doing their job.
And how about any conversations or comments you had from the other jurors?
Well, there were 3 of them that apparently really understood what I had explained, and they made the comment that they had helped the others understand. And it just really, we really appreciated the comments that they did make. And then one lady talked to my wife.
One lady in particular came up to me, and I'll never forget, she took my hands and looked me straight in the eye, and she said, "Your husband is a good man." And she said, "There's nothing wrong with the American people writing their government and asking questions and expecting to receive an answer." And I gave her a big hug. That helped me a lot to know that she understood.
And as you understood the day in October, the jury was the law.
That's correct. I really believe that. We had built into our defense the fact that we had stated that the income tax was an excise tax. Well, part of the government says it's an excise tax, and there are other parts that say that it's not an excise tax.
So at the trial it became evident that the government, in the form of the prosecutor as well as the court itself, would not determine what the law is. Is the government still pursuing that line with you?
Well, I don't know how long that process will take. It's just something that we'll have to endure and try to keep telling the story, that we're not liable, because they had every opportunity that anybody could have to show the section. I think I remember saying that at the time I stopped filing, there was a $100,000 reward for anybody that could find the section in the Internal Revenue Code that made anybody liable for the income tax. So, there was an open invitation for them to just show the section. I would have been convicted, I'm sure. It would have been over. But for some reason, apparently because there is no section, they didn't show it. They were offered to bring it up. So, I for the life of me can't understand why they keep coming. Because I was raised to believe that we live in a free country, that we are free, And we ask people questions. We're supposed to get straight answers, and we're just not getting them. And you say there's 20 million people. I think that's going to be 40 million because people are tired of being confused.
Do you have any indication of how eager the government is to pursue these kinds of actions in light of this jury verdict?
Not from where I am. I don't really know. I do hear and have been getting a few phone calls that apparently they're really going after a lot of people. I don't remember the figures, but I did see an article that said that the seizures were really up by the IRS. I don't really understand why. I can't get a handle on that, but it doesn't look good. Not that there's not always fear and intimidation out there. We hear a lot and we supposedly see a lot on TV, but I don't know of too many people in my particular area that have had their property seized. So I keep going back to that and saying, hey, stay calm, be cool, and I think that's what we have to do, because the whole idea, the way they operate, is to try to scare us into doing something we don't want to do. And so I think that's where the propaganda comes, and a lot of these seizures. And maybe they have a right to seize some of the property they do, which gives them some credibility, but then they go ahead probably and do some other things. That's all they said.
They asked if there would be any other trials similar to ours anytime soon in the Chattanooga area. And they said no, not unless they knew the jury
Or what the jury
would be in their favor.
Right. That they wouldn't be bringing these kinds of actions unless they knew a jury would
Unless
convict.
they knew.
Right.
Now, how they're going to know that, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, one of the things I think I understood you to say that you wanted to do in this was to encourage people to study. And, what we believe becomes to be true to us. And I know that we've been going through some Bible study with a real dear friend of ours, and he takes it very serious, because teachers who taught the Scriptures were held very accountable of what they taught. Because if you teach somebody wrong, it's extremely hard to go back and unteach that. So we have to be real careful, and we have to realize, all of us, that we've grown up with a lot of beliefs that are not true. I mean, if you won't admit that, you're in denial. You might as well just get ready for all these years. So it's very easy to adopt something that's true when it's as false as can be. So we have to be careful. And the Lord told us to prove and reprove the Scriptures. Well, if He wants us to prove and reprove what He's told us, then there's no doubt in my mind He wants us to prove and reprove what man's telling us, what man's law is. And we're supposed to check it out, test it, and make sure that it fits God's law. And that's just the way I see it. And that's basically where we're coming from, is we're not above the law. We just want to understand the law and know what the law is. And anytime there's confusion, don't try to convict us about it. Let's try and understand it. Let's get it cleared up so that we can be a government of people, working with one another. So what is the 11th commandment in the Bible? It's to love one another.
Mm-hmm.